Imagine a courtroom where the loudest thing isn't a voice, it's a shrug. Morning in Providence traffic court feels lived in, paper cups sweating on the radiator, scuffed benches, a hush that rises and falls like breathing. Judge Caprio scans a file, then lifts his eyes to the next defendant, a lanky 17-year-old in a bright Supreme hoodie, earbuds draped like a necklace, gum working lazily in his jaw. The State versus Caden Ross, the clerk reads. Caprio's tone is cordial. Mr. Ross, 3 speeding citations and 1 school zone parking violation. All in the last month. What would you like to tell me? Caden slides a hand into his pocket, shoulders tilted with casual defiance. My dad'll pay. It lands like a coin on marble, small, cheap, ringing far. A few heads turn. Someone exhales a dry chuckle. The boy mistakes the ripple for approval and lifts his chin. Is that how you'd like to resolve this? Caprio asks, still mild. Yeah. I mean, it's just tickets. He nods toward the gallery, as if the room should agree. Nobody got hurt. Who is we, the judge says. Me and my friends, Caden answers, a smirk showing he thinks he's winning something. But don't worry. My dad says not to make a big deal. Caprio sets his pen down. The pause is deliberate, a quiet that tightens the air. Is your father here today? Caden shakes his head. He's busy. He has a business. The judge leans back, considering the boy the way a carpenter studies a crooked plank, measuring, not scolding. Mr. Ross, he says at last, when a young man stands in court and says, my father will pay, the debt doesn't leave with the check. It takes a room in him and stays. The gum stops. For the first time, Caden looks unsure. Caprio doesn't raise his voice, he narrows the moment. Tell me, do you believe these are small things? They're not big, Caden mutters. In a school zone? The judge asks. Where crosswalks carry children. A rustle moves through the benches, not outrage so much as a collective memory, field trips and tiny backpacks, a grandmother's hand gripping small fingers. The boy shifts his weight. Mr. Ross, Caprio continues, the law isn't an invoice your father handles. It's a mirror. You stand in front of it alone. Caden's mouth opens, then closes. The smirk doesn't know where to go. The judge glances at the file again, then back up, eyes steady. We can talk fines. We will. But I'm more interested in the sentence you've already handed yourself, the belief that responsibility belongs to someone not in the room. Silence settles, thick, expectant. Somewhere a chair creaks. The clerk's pen scratches once and stops. Caprio softens the edges. We'll do this properly. Start with you, not your father's wallet. He folds his hands. Where do you go to school? Who are you when the car is parked? Caden blinks, thrown off script. What's that got to do with it? Everything, Caprio says. Or nothing, depending on whether you plan to keep borrowing a name to pay for your choices. The boy looks down at his sneakers, red laces bright against worn tile. When he looks up again, the room feels closer, the bench higher, the hoodie thinner. All right, Caprio murmurs, as if granting both of them a start. Let's see who's actually here. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Caprio doesn't rush. He lets the silence breathe, the kind that turns arrogance into discomfort. Then, softly, almost conversationally, he asks, Caden, tell me something about yourself. What do you do when you're not collecting citations? The boy shrugs. Nothing special. I go to East Providence High. I might not finish, though. My dad says college is a waste. He built his business without a degree. Caprio tilts his head. And your mother? The shrug stiffens. She died when I was 9. I'm sorry, the judge says quietly. Caden nods, but his face is unreadable. It's okay. It was a long time ago. Caprio studies him for a moment before asking, and your father? He must work hard. Yeah. Real hard. He's never home. But he's a good guy. Caden forces a laugh. He gave me a car. Said I deserved it for staying out of trouble. The judge lets that hang in the air, the irony unspoken. Then, calmly, you know, I haven't asked what kind of car it is. Caden looks up, surprised. Why not? Everyone else does. Because, Caprio says, the make and model don't matter when the person behind the wheel feels empty. The room goes still. A few people shift in their seats. Even the clerk stops typing. Caprio leans forward slightly, his tone warm but deliberate. You think freedom is about speed, about doing what you want. But freedom without discipline, without responsibility, is just another kind of cage. You drive faster, laugh louder, stay out later, but inside, you're circling the same block. Caden frowns, as if trying to decide whether to be offended or moved. You don't even know me. No, the judge says. But I see you. I've seen hundreds like you, smart, restless, trying to fill something that should have been filled by time, not things. The boy's expression falters. He looks toward the gallery, where a few older faces, grandparents, veterans, mothers, watch him not with judgment, but pity. Caprio's voice lowers. Your father works hard to build a life for you. But tell me, when was the last time he asked who you're becoming? The words land harder than any fine could. Caden's lips part, but no sound comes. He taps his thumb against his leg, nervous, defensive, young. Finally, he mutters, he doesn't talk about that stuff. He's busy. That's just how it is. Maybe, Caprio replies. But someday, you'll realize a man can build an empire and still lose his home. Not the walls, the space between people. For a long moment, no one moves. The courtroom feels more like a living room, or maybe a confessional. The judge's tone has changed, no authority now, just quiet grief. Tell me something, Caden, Caprio says, breaking the silence. When you speed, when you blow through lights at night, what do you feel? Caden's voice drops. Nothing, I guess. Just noise. It's like the only time I don't have to think. Caprio nods slowly. That's the sound of loneliness, son. The engine just drowns it for a while. The boy looks down, eyes glistening for the first time, not tears, not yet, just reflection. The courtroom, once buzzing with whispers, has fallen utterly quiet. Caprio folds his hands again. You said your father's busy. Maybe he is. But right now, I'm not. So let's start fixing what he doesn't have time to see. Caprio flips a page in the file, the faint scrape of paper cutting through the quiet. Caden, he says evenly, 2 of your tickets were issued after midnight. 1 was outside a hospital. Tell me why you were there. The boy shifts, arms crossed tight. I don't know. Just driving. It helps me think. Or not think, Caprio says. Caden stares at the floor tiles. Maybe. The judge continues, his tone neutral but sharper now. You were clocked at 46 in a 30 zone. The officer noted your car was parked for several minutes near the emergency entrance. Do you remember that? Sort of. I stopped for a soda. There's a vending machine near the lot. Caprio glances at the paper again, then speaks carefully. Did you know your father was admitted to that hospital the same night? Cardiac event, according to the report. Caden's head jerks up. What? No. That's impossible. He was released 2 days later, Caprio says quietly. He told the nurse not to call you. Said you had exams. The words hit like a weight. The courtroom seems to shrink around the boy. Even the fluorescent lights feel too bright. He never said anything. Caprio watches him, not with pity but patience. And you never asked. The silence stretches. Caden's breathing becomes uneven, shallow. He doesn't talk about that stuff, he mutters. If something's wrong, he just fixes it. And you? Caprio asks. What do you fix? The boy's voice breaks a little. I don't know. Caprio leans forward, folding his hands on the bench. You said earlier your father pays your fines. Maybe that's how he apologizes, for being absent. And maybe you let him, because it's easier than asking why he's really gone. Caden blinks rapidly, jaw tightening. You don't know him. I don't have to, Caprio says. I know what distance looks like. I've seen it sit between fathers and sons for 40 years. The courtroom remains still. A woman in the back sniffles softly. Caden drags a sleeve across his face, pretending to scratch his nose. Caprio's voice softens again. Caden, you think breaking rules makes you free. But most of the time, it's just a way to prove you exist to someone who isn't looking. The boy exhales, a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob. I just wanted him to notice. That's all. And now that you know he's the one who needed help that night, the judge asks. Caden looks up. His face is pale, stunned. I don't know what to do. Start with not running from it, Caprio says. You can't outdrive guilt. It's faster than you. A low hum fills the room, an air conditioner, or maybe just the collective breath of people realizing the moment matters. Caprio closes the file gently. You see, the law's not just about punishment, he says. It's about recognition. You were invisible to your father, and he was invisible to you. That's how people disappear while still standing in the same house. Caden swallows hard, trying to keep his composure. I didn't mean to. I know, Caprio interrupts softly. But meaning well isn't the same as doing right. One earns sympathy, the other earns respect. The boy nods slowly. There's no defiance left, just exhaustion, the kind that comes from carrying something unnamed for too long. Caprio studies him a final moment before speaking, so let me ask one last time, who should pay for these fines? Caden's answer is almost a whisper. I should. The judge gives a small nod, neither pleased nor disappointed, just acknowledging a truth finally spoken aloud. Good, he says. Now we can begin. The gavel doesn't fall. It doesn't need to. The sound that follows is even louder, a deep, collective silence that feels like mercy learning to breathe. The room holds its breath. Caprio closes the file slowly, his gaze steady on the boy. Caden, he begins softly, your father isn't a millionaire, as you might believe. He doesn't own companies or send people to do his work. He is the work. 60 hours a week under hoods and engines, fixing other people's mistakes so you can afford to make your own. Caden's head lifts, confused. What are you talking about? Caprio's tone stays even. I'm saying your father is here. In this building. Right now. The words hang in the air. A murmur ripples through the crowd. Then, doors open. A man steps inside wearing a mechanic's uniform, sleeves rolled up, a fresh bandage wrapping his forearm. His hands are marked by grease that never fully washes away. Caden's expression collapses. Dad? The man nods once, eyes tired but calm. Morning, son. Caprio gestures to him. Mr. Ross, would you like to say something? Danny Ross removes his cap, gripping it between his fingers. Yes, Your Honor. I'm not here to pay. I came because I wanted him to see what paying looks like. Caden's voice cracks with anger that's half fear. You think this fixes anything? You're never around. You buy cars, not time. You don't even know me. Danny takes a step closer, his voice quiet but sharp. You think I bought cars? I was buying minutes, Caden. Every hour I worked was another meal, another chance to keep the lights on so you could still have choices I never did. The boy blinks hard, as if the words sting physically. You lied, he mutters. You made me think we were rich. Danny shakes his head. I made you think I was strong enough that you didn't have to worry. That was my mistake. The courtroom is utterly still. Even the fluorescent lights seem dimmer. Caprio doesn't interfere, he lets truth take its time. Danny turns toward the judge. He doesn't need me to pay for his tickets. He needs to understand what they cost. Every dollar is a night I worked through pain, pretending I wasn't tired. Every fine was a reminder I was failing to be home. Caden's lips tremble. Then why didn't you just say that? His father's reply lands like a stone dropped into water. Because men like me don't talk about how much we're breaking. We just keep fixing what's in front of us. Caprio leans forward, his voice low but firm. Mr. Ross, sometimes fixing things means stopping long enough to see what's broken. Danny nods once, swallowing hard. I see it now, Judge. Then, silence. The kind that hums in your ears. Caden stares at his father, and for the first time, his anger folds into something else, recognition, maybe grief. Caprio finally speaks. Caden, your father came here not as a mechanic or a provider, but as a man asking to be seen. You told me earlier your dad would pay. Well, he has. Every hour, every missed dinner, every morning you woke up alone. The question is, will you ever pay him back in understanding? Caden's voice drops to a whisper. I didn't know. I thought he didn't care. Danny shakes his head. Son, caring isn't loud. Sometimes it's just showing up again tomorrow. Caprio looks between them, his tone gentler than before. Seems to me, both of you have been paying the same debt from different pockets. Neither answers. They just look at each other, two people realizing how much silence has cost them. Finally, Caprio breaks the stillness. This isn't a courtroom anymore. It's a mirror. And I think you both deserve to see what love looks like when it finally tells the truth. No gavel strikes. Only the sound of Danny's breath, slow, unsteady, as he sits beside his son for the first time in years. Caprio sets the papers aside. The wooden desk creaks under his slow movement. His voice, calm but resonant, fills the silent courtroom. Caden, he begins, I'm not here to decide who's right between you and your father. I'm here to show you both what happens when silence becomes your only language. The boy looks up, eyes red. You think I don't care? Caprio shakes his head. No. I think you were never taught what caring looks like. Your father built his life out of duty, you built yours out of defiance. Different tools, same wall between you. Danny exhales through his nose, his hands clasped tightly on his knees. Caprio continues, steady as a metronome. I see it every day in this room, people who lose each other not because of tragedy, but because they stop paying attention. You two have been living like business partners, one sending money, the other spending it, neither sharing the cost. The words land with quiet precision. Caden drops his gaze. Caprio picks up the stack of tickets, fanning them lightly. You called these just fines. But every one of them is a message. The law doesn't ask for your money, son, it asks for your presence. He leans forward. So tell me, are you ready to show up? The boy nods, barely audible. Danny speaks up, voice rough. Judge, I'll pay them. He's still a kid. He needs a chance to start clean. Caprio looks at him for a long moment, then answers softly, don't. If you pay, you'll buy him out of the very lesson he came here to learn. Danny frowns. Then what should he do? Caprio turns back to Caden. You'll pay, but not in dollars. You'll pay with time, with effort, with humility. You'll go back to school. You'll volunteer at the hospital where your father fixed cars on night shifts to keep you fed. You'll work with people who can't run from their problems. And when you finally understand why that matters, you'll write to me. Caden blinks. Write to you? Yes, Caprio says. A letter. Not to explain, not to apologize. To tell me what you found when you stopped driving fast enough to escape yourself. The boy's lip trembles, but there's no defiance left in him, only the quiet surrender that precedes growth. And if I don't? Caprio folds his hands again, his tone gentle but unyielding. Then the tickets will stay open. Not on paper, inside you. And someday, when life hands you something heavier than a fine, you'll wish you paid the smaller debt first. A long pause. The air feels thick with something sacred. Danny's eyes glisten, though he hides it behind a cough. Caden whispers, I'll do it. I'll go to the hospital. Caprio nods once. Good. Not for punishment. For perspective. That's rarer than forgiveness. He glances toward Danny. And you, Mr. Ross, your job isn't done. You'll meet him there once a week. Not as a foreman. As a father. Let him see what real work looks like up close. Danny's throat tightens. I can do that. Do more than that, Caprio says quietly. Talk to him. Tell him what the grease on your hands really cost. Let him understand that love isn't money, it's time spent without an invoice. The room remains silent, but the tension has shifted. The anger is gone, in its place, a fragile piece, like a bridge rebuilt plank by plank. Caden looks at his father, then at the judge. Thank you, Your Honor. Caprio gives the smallest smile. Don't thank me yet. The easy part is over. Now comes the honest work. He taps the file once, a soft sound that replaces the gavel. Case closed, not by law, but by understanding. Several weeks pass. The courthouse hums with its usual rhythm, paper rustles, voices echo, the shuffle of shoes on marble. Judge Caprio sits behind his bench, reviewing a thin stack of morning cases. A knock interrupts. His clerk enters, holding a small white envelope. Your Honor, she says quietly. Letter from a Caden Ross. Caprio looks up, surprised but calm. Let's hear it. He opens the envelope carefully, unfolds a single handwritten page. The sound of paper fills the still air as he begins to read aloud. Judge Caprio. I didn't know what to write at first. I thought you wanted a report, something about volunteering or responsibility. But the truth is, I didn't learn responsibility. I learned how to stand still. The first day at the hospital, I hated it. The smell of disinfectant, the silence of those who can't leave their beds, it scared me. But then I saw something. My dad was there, fixing a generator in the basement. I hadn't seen him smile in months, but that day he did. Not because of me, because the lights came back on, and a patient upstairs started breathing easier. That's when I got it. He wasn't working for money. He was keeping people alive in his own way. I started helping him after that. Just small things. Cleaning tools, pushing wheelchairs, talking to the old guys who remind me of him. And somewhere between the noise of machines and the quiet of those rooms, I realized. I'm not angry anymore. I don't want him to pay for me. I want to stand next to him. Thank you for not finding me. Thank you for making me feel the cost instead. Caprio lowers the letter slowly. The courtroom is silent again, as if holding its breath with him. He folds the paper, presses it flat against the desk. His voice, when he speaks, is low and steady. You know, he says to no one in particular, people think justice is about balance, one wrong for one punishment. But sometimes it's about timing. Giving someone a moment before life teaches them the hard way. He looks toward the back of the courtroom, where Danny Ross sits quietly on a bench, in his work clothes again, waiting for his son's name to appear on the docket that will never come. Their eyes meet briefly through the distance. Caprio nods. Danny nods back. The judge smiles faintly and turns to his clerk. Let's move on to the next case. She hesitates. Would you like me to file the letter, Your Honor? Caprio shakes his head. No. Keep it. It's not evidence. It's proof. He taps the folded paper against the desk once, almost like a heartbeat, and adds softly, half to himself. Justice isn't a gavel. It's the sound a life makes when it finally turns toward the light. The room falls quiet again. Outside, a car horn echoes faintly, the world carrying on as usual. Inside, though, something feels lighter, like the air after a storm. And for the briefest moment, before calling the next case, Caprio allows himself to close his eyes and breathe, not as a judge, but as a man who still believes that even the smallest verdict can change a life.